So having worked actually as a steward in Oberoi, I actually used to take orders from a lot of people who were my seniors. But I obviously had a different view on the whole aspect and how to run the restaurant at that point of time. So being a junior, I couldn't obviously take the decisions, but this whole drive to take the decisions and look at it from a different point of view was the whole idea to move ahead and become an entrepreneur. So obviously, being the nightclub business, people were only there for drinking and dancing, and they always looked at opportunity to get a quick bite, so that they could actually come back and start partying again. And there was nothing around back then in Phoenix when the nightclub was there. So I saw that opportunity for a quick bite where people didn't leave the vicinity, so picked up and again came back. So it was a dual profitable business for me, so that they could actually come back to the nightclub and still party and still go back and eat again. My parents were the first people who actually believed in my entrepreneurial quality and said, go ahead and mortgage the house. And which is where I went and mortgaged my house. A nightclub is a very short-lived business. And as I said, I completely believe that if I have to be in the industry, food was the answer to go forward. And having seen the way the country is behaving also, QSR was the case where price point was a very important sector if you wanted to capture the entire of the country as a business model. That's why QSR. So when you say systems, it's basically the production. Even as far as we're dependent on skill levels over here. When it comes to even producing the food, as well as running your organization from your accounting points and everything also. So systems everywhere, like backending your entire production, where standardization is a very key in a QSR segment, and running your accounts also tight, because cost of production is what really matters in this whole QSR segment. So the brand was about 15 years old, and we thought a new whole approach, a new positioning, as I may say, was very important. Having the MNCs that had come into the market, like McDonald's and the other brands, it was important to compete with them also. So a whole new positioning was required, and that's why we made a change in the brand positioning by changing the logo, the look, and the SKUs also. So the idea was we actually looked at the market. We really looked at, we earlier had about 67 to 80 almost items on our menu. And we realized that, we should look at reducing the menu size. So we actually went down and reduced it to about 35, which didn't at all affect our sales also. Having said that, it was also the branding that was required from a hygiene perspective, which was, people were getting to see what McDonald's was really serving, or a Subway, all these that were very concentrating on the hygiene factor. So we decided to make the change in the brand to dictate hygiene and MNC and a look which also competed with the MNCs also. So branding is very important, because that's the first approach towards the brand. As far as in the QSR, when you're actually approaching and you're flooded with so many brands, so branding plays an important role to actually capture the eyes of the consumer. So in terms of branding, so colors are also important, dictating what the brand stands for. Predominantly being selling primarily non-veg vegetarian, so we've used darker colors with brown and yellows, which have worked very well. So everything was changed. As I said, we repositioned the brand completely, right from the look of the store to the look at the people working with the brand, with their uniforms and any collateral that was involved with the branding. So everything was changed, right from the logo also. So the right location in a QSR system is a very important factor, with real estate being the way it is in most of the country. So it is very important to understand the consumer while you're pricing the product, simultaneously to make sure the business is profitable. It's important to understand the land value also, which obviously is linked with selling the product at the end of the day. So our strategy was always to make sure that even if at prime locations, we really didn't get into paying heavy rentals because we had a fair idea of what the sales would be dictated based on the price point that we had kept for the product. So technology is playing a larger role right now, right from within the systems itself to assure maximum transparency, as well as also to driving the sale, as you correctly said, from the delivery point. So technology is playing a part. It is getting impacted, and we are trying to cope up with setting up our systems, also using as much technology we can to better our systems. So obviously the revenue has been the bigger change. That is purely because of a lot of competition that is coming. People, as a consumer, they do want variety, and which is going to obviously divide the business to several players. And revenue has obviously been the inflation as far as the QSR is concerned. So obviously revenue is a very important factor when food inflation is looked at. From the point that there's way too much competition right now. As a consumer, one wants a lot of variety, so which is obviously bringing the revenues down in the QSR segment. Cost, on the other end, also is a major concern. Land value going up the way it is, obviously not supporting, because price point cannot be changed drastically time to time. So land value is one big challenge that is coming up. Inflation is also towards cost of products going up. But being in QSR, we cannot be burdening the consumer with the same. So cost is also affecting strongly on inflation. So people cost is not as much as an impact to us. So skill levels obviously is a challenge to find the right skill levels. Training becomes a very important factor. People don't come from a trained background, so obviously that's a very important factor. So integrity issues are also quite high as of today, which we have to deal with, and systems are the only ones that can actually curb it down. Apart from that, when it comes to people, attrition is a big challenge that we face. Because of new players coming in, there's a lot of attrition that the company has to face. Spending so much time on that one particular employee, investing him in towards the training and everything, and post that him moving on becomes a major challenge when it comes to people in this industry. So pilferage, underreporting, these are very important concerns, which only the systems that, as much as you can keep tightening your systems, can bring them down. So obviously the company was set up initially with the vision that the need of the hour, and we didn't really have an understanding that we're going to grow to a number of particular stores. The idea was at that point to make sure that what we're starting, it's a great product. We concentrate on that first to deliver the right product, and post that the idea was to convert into a brand and grow going forward. So the company culture is very clear over here that we work as a team. So there is no technical hierarchy in this company. We work with every individual having a say in the format of growing the company forward. That's how the company culture really works over here. So as I said, he's completely comfortable with the fact that we completely work without any hierarchy over here. So he's in part of the team immediately. He has a say on every matter. So we don't hold anybody from shying out to actually give their comments. As I said initially also, when I was working as a steward, I did have any ideas, but I could not place them forward. And I think that's something which I realized, and I said, it's important for anybody and everybody to have an idea and to voice it out for a company to grow forward. So I think initially the funding was a larger challenge when it was just a concept. So obviously the funds were to be raised personally with whatever savings and the borrowings from friends, families and all that. So that was much bigger challenge. So obviously that having said that, it was important to prove yourself because there were friends, families backing you on that, and it was your personal savings also that were put forward to make the brand grow. Going forward, funding is a very important factor to grow the brand, but it becomes easier if you've actually proven yourself in the past, and which was the case which was in our case. that we did have the numbers on our side. We did have a great product. We did have a brand which was built over a period of 15 years. So funding did become a little bit of an easier format at this point of time as compared to what initially it was. So there was definitely not a parameter as such on the funding perspective. We were very clear that to grow and make it a pan-India brand, funding was a very important factor. So we did approach a lot of private equities in the case, and during the case of meeting the private, we did meet several of them who had certain conditions, which obviously were hurdles that came up. One of the particular conditions was they wanted to take in majority. And at that point of time, I was very clear that I didn't want to give up my majority over here, because I still believed in the brand and I want to run the brand the way I believed in running it. So we did scan and vet through the process of the funds that we were going to work with. And in the process, we landed up tying up with Unilaser, which is a fund we. So we did tie up with a fund post having said assessed which would be the right fund who would actually work with us as a partner, and not only purely like a fund who would only be sitting and questioning us, but would be involved in giving inputs with their experiences in the market. And that's how we decided to take over the fund. So I think my only advice to startups after speaking to a lot of entrepreneurs who are in the making is build a brand first, which is very important. Don't look at funding today, or don't look at a valuation game today. Until and unless you don't have a brand which you believe and you've created, there is no way forward. So the three things that I would look at in an entrepreneur in the making would, if I had to invest, would be his vision, his individual skills, and his aggression towards taking this product forward. So data analysis does work, but I don't think so one should get into the micro level of it. I think from a macro level is important to just understand the industry. And that's what we do at our level. We do just look at data analytics from an industry point of view, where the EBITDAs of other companies are at, if there's inflation cost, if it's running low or high, and what are the reasons for it, and that's about it. And we incorporate that into our day-to-day systems, and then within our system we look at it from a micro level. So if there's obviously a low sales on quarter, which the industry has been looking at, we tend to take that and look at whether that has really affected us also, and if it has, then why, and the correction measures are taken on that basis. So technically it could be deliveries. So we look at that the entire industry is moving towards a lot of delivery sales, and we take that from industry point and make sure how we can actually drive our delivery from the current number to a further number. So data analytics actually also affects our decision making on how we are going to look at quarter on quarter in our business. As I give an example from a delivery perspective. So delivery is a segment that is growing very strongly in our country when it comes to food. So we do look at it from the industry standard and incorporate into our own systems how we can actually use that to grow our sales. Obviously, having developed a brand which was predominantly a Bombay-based brand, and having got the product right, which is the key as a company that we believe that we've got the product right, is when we decided that I think it's the right time for us to become a pan-India brand. And from there on, which is where we actually got into looking at funding. When we got the funding, the first key thing that we wanted to actually look at was basically how do we take this brand forward on a pan-India basis. So on a pan-India basis, the first most important was the production. We could not have different skill levels at different cities. So to back-end the production was a key challenge for us, and which is what we've done now. We are working with third parties for our entire production, and these parties are actually ones that can supply us pan-Asia. So going forward for growing the brand, which is going to be our key, to identify the right partners and working with them was a challenge which we've now overcome. So we as a company are very clear that we work with our core expertise, which is driving the sale, and So the idea was also when you're looking at a multi-store brand, to have which is the production which is dependent on individual skill levels cannot be the case. So obviously in this we were very clear that we need to identify a mass production unit which is controlled by someone who actually that's his core business. who produces for us, and we don't have to man that entire unit, but we can then only look at concentrating on driving our sales. So we are clear on that, and which is why we decided to use third parties when it came to our production and logistics and other aspects. So the idea, as I said, is always to work with third party, which technically puts a dependency very limited on the skill levels. So which is what we've done. So as an example, we are working with a couple of companies who handle our entire finances instead of having an in-house finance team, which is definitely there to the basics. But on the senior levels, we do have a third party that looks into our financing. Similarly, for the production also, we are not dependent on the skill level of an individual who's actually cooking at the unit, but it is a third party that is actually sending the supply to us. As far as even logistics, we are dependent on a third party, which is the core business for them. So ideally, we try avoiding working on an individual skill level, but work with maximum third party and only keep the core as at the best skill levels. I think the only key over here is the product, which we've always believed in. And if we keep our product tight, that's going to be the way forward, where any competition and every competition also will be handled well if the product is a winner. To stay in the business with the growing competition, it's important to make sure your product is completely correct and innovating your product time and time again, and giving it to the consumer, where consumer ultimately is habited to the product, which is a key in handling all the competition that comes through. Definitely India is the most difficult place to do business, with the laws that were probably formed during the British era and which have not been really looked at till date. So I think the most important factor to do business in India is to just make sure you know exactly how to play with the law. So I think it's important to understand the law. A lot of people use consultants and they don't understand. They just start up a business without actually understanding the law. The law today cannot be complied with completely, but it's still important to understand it and to make sure that you are within the lines and play with that as much as you can. So I think my one advice to the entrepreneurs coming into this part of the business would be very clearly believe in your own gut. Do not follow anyone's personal experiences. It's the gut and the situation at that very moment that's actually going to help you take the journey.